Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. In this video I'm going to take a look at the old cards that were introduced in Madness at the Darkmoon Faire. These old cards, all of them cost 10 mana and they are kind of neutral wing conditions that you can use in a wide variety of decks. At least that was the marketing speech. However, in reality, old cards haven't seen a lot of play in this expansion. It's all about Evolved Shamans, it's all about turn 2 Edwin Van Cleaves. That's the sort of stuff we have during this expansion, but there are some decks that allow you to use old cards. So if you happen to have some of these, in this video I'm going to take a look at which of these are the best, and also which decks are the best of the decks that use these old cards. So looking at the old cards, clearly the weakest one of the four is NZoth, God of the Deep. Battlecry, resurrect a friendly minion of each minion type. So the effect is relatively modest compared to what is going on in Hearthstone overall nowadays, and it comes fairly late and it requires you to have played a lot of stuff in advance, so NZoth just isn't a very strong card. Then there's YShaarj the Defiler. Battlecry, add a copy of each corrupted card you played this game to your hand. They cost 0 this turn. So YShaarj's effect can be really good. However, it has turned out to be that corrupting those cards is actually pretty difficult. You don't have a lot of opportunities to corrupt the cards. If you play them in their uncorrupted form, then they won't come back from YShaarj. So YShaarj is limited to a couple of niche scenarios, although there are a couple of uses for it. Then there is Yogg-Saron, Master of Fate, which is already clearly a more playable card. Battlecry, if you cast 10 spells this game, spin the Wheel of Yogg-Saron. The Wheel of Yogg-Saron can do a wide variety of stuff. Typically it clears the board and gives you a big advantage, but it can also kill you, so who knows what's going to happen. But anyway, Yogg-Saron is a playable card in decks that can play a lot of spells. But first you have to have a deck that can play a lot of spells in order to make good use of Yogg-Saron. But anyway, Yogg-Saron is already a playable card. It's used in a couple of decks that are actually somewhat meta decks. And then there's Kutun the Shattered. It's kind of hard to say which one is stronger, Yogg-Saron or Kutun. Both of them are relatively strong. Both of them are playable. The Kutun's problem is that it breaks into pieces. There are 4 pieces of Kutun. You have to play all of them, then you get to assemble Kutun, then you shuffle it into your deck, then you still have to draw it, and then you can deal 30 damage randomly split among all enemies. So the number of decks that can make good use of Kutun are a little bit limited, but Kutun has been a wing condition. I played a number of Kutun decks myself, and it has been a pretty decent wing condition in some of them. So Kutun and Yogg-Saron seem to be doing reasonably well, although of course none of these are really part of the main meta decks. Then YShaarj has some situational uses and NZoth just seems pretty weak. But what about the decks that these cards could be used in? Even NZoth. This is the best performing NZoth deck on the ladder at the moment. It is it's a Brune Paladin that just runs NZoth on top. Yeah, sorry about that, but what can you do? It does make some concessions because of running NZoth, like there's a Carousel Griffin in this deck. Carousel Griffin is a mech, it can be resurrected by NZoth. There's 2 copies of Hammer of the Naaru. Sometimes decks use only one, sometimes they cut the card, but it's still a decent card, it's still worth running in most decks even without NZoth, which summons Holy Elemental with Taunt, so that's an elemental, it's getting resurrected. Salhet's Pride is a beast, getting resurrected. Amber Watcher is a dragon, getting resurrected. Riskill Dragon Tamer is a murloc, getting resurrected. And then you might pick up something from first day of school. So you're able to pick up a few minions, a couple of taunt minions. If you have corrupted the Carousel Griffin, you can pick it up with the +3/+3 and taunt. It becomes a different card. So yeah, some uses, even though NZoth overall isn't that great. As for YShaarj, the most iconic and most used YShaarj deck at the moment is Tigatus Warlock, and this is the best performing Tigatus Warlock list at the moment. I don't think Tigatus Warlock is that great, but it's somewhat playable. So you're trying to corrupt your Tigatus to remove top 5 cards from the opponent's deck, and then you try to resurrect it with YShaarj, and then you can just play it again, and so you end up removing 10 cards. Some pretty sweet combos. Then you have some Cascading Disasters, which is hard removal. You get that back from YShaarj as well, so you can clear the board and play your Tigatus. Some sweet things that can be accomplished. Warlock just isn't doing too strong in the current meta, so it's still kind of niche. And if Warlock is not doing great, then what's really not doing great is Druid. Druid is the weakest class in the game right now, but if you must play Druid for some reason, then this is currently the strongest Druid deck. It runs YShaarj, it runs Yogg-Saron, so this is form of a clown druid. With guardian animals, it turns out that using guardian animals is still the strongest path for druid, so you try to ramp up as quickly as you can, you try to get guardian animals played, that will summon some beasts for you, those beasts will have rush, they will be able to fight for the board for you, you get a little bit back into the game, then you try to corrupt your carnival clowns so that you will get big boards full of clowns, survival of the fittest them too, and then you can get more clown boards after you play YShaarj the Defiler, so you get your clowns back. And Yogg-Saron fits into Druid because Druid plays a lot of spells, and Druid lacks any sort of hard removal. Druid really lacks the control tools to play a control game. They have to just ramp up and get big minions on the board quickly, so that if the opponent gets big minions, then their Druid's big minions can trade. But Yogg-Saron gives the Druid a chance to do some hard removal, so a couple of old cards are being used in this deck. Another deck that you can use Yogg-Saron in, and you can also use Cthulhu in, is Highlander Mage. This is currently one of the best performing Highlander Mage lists. These Highlander Mage lists have typically now went for a little bit of a lower curve, a little bit more secrets. There's stuff like Conspicuous Rider in this, there's Netherwind Portals, there's just more secrets than they used to be. And then Cthulhu, Yogg-Saron. Yogg-Saron also here, it can clear out some stuff, do some hard removal. Mage also lacks hard removal a little. Mage removal is mostly damage based, except for the amazing Reno, so Yogg-Saron gives Mage another form of removal for the late game. And then Cthulhu the Shattered gives the deck one more win condition to just blow out the opposition. However, the strongest old card deck that I have played so far remains the Cthulhu Warrior. Cthulhu Warrior is not very popular. People are mostly of the opinion that using the ETC package or even using the Silas OTK is stronger win condition than Cthulhu. And okay, that might be the case, but personally I at least have had a lot of success playing Cthulhu Warrior, and it's also fun to play. Warrior is the kind of control deck that can just stay in the game, it can delay and stall and then eventually get to the Cthulhu and win the game. So if you're really looking for a deck where you could play Cthulhu, that Highlander Mage deck is an option, but also Control Warrior is another option. Unfortunately, none of the old card decks are really cheap. All of them, as you have seen, require a bunch of legendary cards, a lot of expensive parts. And they are not the top meta decks at the moment. Stuff like Evolve Shaman, stuff like Rogue, stuff like Broom Paladin are the top dogs in the meta, but if you have some old cards and if you want to use them, then these are currently the best decks that you can play your old cards in. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the show, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel for more.